The massive alien warship appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system, its sleek silver hull dulled by battle damage. Emergency lights pulsed along its 2-mile length as it limped toward Orbital Repair Station 7, moving at barely a fraction of its normal speed. Tom Miller stood at the station's observation deck, his coffee growing cold in his hand. After 15 years running the biggest repair station in Earth's orbit, he thought he'd seen everything. But this was different. The ship belonged to the Bright Ones, an alien species so advanced they usually treated humans like primitive cave dwellers. "Sir," his assistant Jack called from the communications console, "they're requesting emergency docking clearance. Their quantum drive is, well, they say it's beyond repair." Tom raised an eyebrow. "Beyond repair? That's not a phrase we use around here." He set down his coffee and straightened his uniform. "Grant them clearance. Alert the engineering team." The alien ship's docking was a sight to behold. Its massive form cast a shadow over half the station, making the human facility look like a toy in comparison. As the docking clamps engaged, Tom could see the damage more clearly. A spider web of cracks ran through the quantum drive housing, with strange energy patterns flickering beneath. The Bright Ones delegation emerged from their ship looking distinctly uncomfortable. Their tall, luminescent forms towered over the human crew, their crystalline features arranged in what Tom had learned to recognize as expressions of distress. The lead alien, who introduced himself as the first engineer, spoke through a translator device. "We come seeking assistance, though we doubt you can help," the first engineer said, his tone a mixture of desperation and dismissal. "Our quantum drive suffered a catastrophic fracture during an encounter with a spatial anomaly. Our finest engineers have declared it irreparable." Tom kept his face neutral, though inside he was smiling. If there was one thing humans had learned since joining the galactic community, it was that irreparable usually meant irreparable by conventional means. And humans had never been very good at sticking to conventional means. "Let's have a look," Tom said, leading them toward the engineering bay. "Kate, our lead engineer, will want to see this personally." They found Kate already suited up in her work gear, pulling together an assortment of tools that made the Bright Ones visibly nervous. She was known throughout the station for her unconventional solutions, which was exactly why Tom had hired her. "Those are primitive instruments," the first engineer observed, light patterns flickering across his crystalline face in what might have been alarm. Kate just grinned, hefting a modified plasma torch. "Sometimes the old ways work best. Mind if I take a look at your schematics?" The holographic display of the quantum drive's internal structure floated before them, highlighting the fracture patterns. The Bright Ones had already attempted their standard repairs, all perfectly by the book, all unsuccessful. Their technology was designed to work in perfect conditions, with perfect materials and perfect solutions. But humans had learned long ago that space rarely offered perfect conditions. "See this pattern here?" Kate pointed to a section of the fracture. "It's not just structural damage. The quantum field itself is destabilized. That's why your standard repairs aren't holding." The first engineer's crystalline form dimmed slightly. "Yes, the field harmonics are beyond restoration. That is why we declared it irreparable." Kate shared a look with Tom, then turned back to their visitors. "Maybe by your methods, but we might have a few tricks you haven't tried." She pulled up another hologram, this one showing a repair technique that made the Bright Ones step back in alarm. "That is impossible," the first engineer stated. "You cannot simply patch a quantum field like a primitive hull breach." "Watch us," Tom said quietly, giving Kate the nod to proceed. "You might want to take notes. This is why they call us the miracle workers of the repair industry." As Kate's team moved toward the damaged ship, Tom couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. Soon, the galaxy would learn what humans had known all along. Sometimes the best solutions aren't the perfect ones, but the ones that actually work. Kate's engineering team worked through the station's night cycle, their welding lights casting strange shadows inside the massive quantum drive chamber. The bright ones watched nervously as the humans used tools they considered outdated by centuries. "What is that material?" the first engineer asked, his crystalline form flickering with concern as he watched Kate apply a thick, silvery paste to the quantum field emitters. "This," Kate wiped her hands on her coveralls. "It's a mix we created. Part nano repair foam, part good old-fashioned earth metals. We found that quantum fields respond better to natural materials sometimes." She didn't mention that they'd discovered this by accident when someone spilled coffee on a quantum regulator. The first engineer's translator crackled with distress. "But the repair specifications require pure crystalline matrices. Your mixture is not in any approved repair manual." Tom, who had stayed to watch the repairs, couldn't help but chuckle. "If we only did what was in the manuals, half the ships in this galaxy would still be broken." He pointed to a series of welding marks on a nearby panel. "See those? That's from last week. Fixed a Starweaver's main drive using parts from an old Earth satellite. Works better than new." The repair bay hummed with activity as more of Kate's team arrived with what looked like random parts and tools. One carried what appeared to be an old microwave emitter, modified with alien tech. Another wheeled in what was clearly a repurposed mining laser. "Stop." The first engineer moved to block their path. "These components are not rated for quantum field work. The risk of catastrophic failure is—" A loud buzz from the drive chamber interrupted him. Kate's paste had started to glow, the quantum field visibly stabilizing around it. Numbers on the monitoring screen showed energy levels evening out. "Impossible," whispered the first engineer. The other bright ones clustered around the displays, their crystalline forms pulsing with confusion. Kate grinned as she checked the readings. "Not impossible. Just requires thinking differently. Your quantum drive doesn't need perfect materials. It needs materials that can adapt." She pointed to where the paste was slowly hardening. "This mixture actually works with the quantum field, lets it find its own balance instead of forcing it into alignment." The next few hours were a blur of activity. Kate's team worked in shifts, applying their hybrid repair techniques across the damaged sections. They used tools in ways they were never designed for, combined technologies that shouldn't have worked together, and broke probably 100 different official repair protocols. And it was working. By the time the station's day cycle began, the quantum drive's energy readings had stabilized. The fractures were sealed with Kate's special mixture, reinforced with a combination of earth metals and alien composites. The drive hummed with a sound that made the bright ones stare in amazement. "The field harmonics," one of them said, checking and rechecking the readings. "They're actually stronger than original specifications." Tom watched as Kate ran final diagnostics. "That's because we didn't try to make it perfect. We made it better." He turned to the first engineer. "Would you like to test it?" The test run was brief but conclusive. The quantum drive not only worked, it worked more efficiently than before. The Bright One ship could now handle slight field fluctuations that would have caused problems with the original design. As the test concluded, the first engineer approached Kate, his crystalline form glowing with what might have been respect. "We have long believed that perfection was the only path to technological advancement. But your imperfect solutions have achieved what our perfect methods could not." Kate shrugged, already packing up her tools. "Perfect solutions work perfectly until something goes wrong. Imperfect solutions, they're ready for anything." Tom watched as the bright ones began taking detailed notes of the repair techniques. He knew this was just the beginning. Word would spread about this repair, about how humans fixed an irreparable quantum drive using methods that no other species would even consider. And soon, more ships would come, seeking the human engineers who could do the impossible simply because nobody told them it was impossible. 2 weeks after fixing the Bright One ship, Orbital Repair Station 7 was busier than ever. Tom stood in his office, watching through the viewport as 3 alien ships waited their turn to dock. His coffee had gone cold again, but this time he didn't mind. "Another request just came in," Jack said from his desk. "It's a merchant vessel from the Cloud Runners. They say they heard about us from the bright ones. Tom smiled. News traveled fast in space, especially news about impossible repairs. The bright ones, despite their initial doubts, had apparently become quite vocal about their experience with human engineers. The station's comm system crackled. "Chief, you better come see this." Kate's voice carried a mix of excitement and concern. "Our newest customer has something I've never seen before." In the main repair bay, a ship belonging to the Rock Shapers sat with its engine core exposed. Unlike the sleek designs of the bright ones, this vessel looked like it had been carved from a single piece of living stone. Its engine was a complex crystal matrix that pulsed with deep red energy. "The crystal core is cracking," the Rock Shaper captain explained, his rocky features grinding together in worry. "Our traditional healing songs cannot mend it." Kate walked around the core, scanning it with both alien and human devices. "Healing songs? You repair your ships with sound. Our technology responds to specific frequencies," the captain said. "But this damage, it resists our methods." Tom watched as Kate's face lit up with that familiar look of inspiration. She turned to her team. "Get me the ultrasonic cleaners from Bay 3 and that box of quartz crystals we salvaged last month." The Rock Shapers watched in confusion as the humans set up what looked like a crude imitation of their own repair technology. Kate had modified the ultrasonic cleaners to produce frequencies similar to their healing songs, but with a human twist. Adding these earth crystals as resonators, she explained as she worked. "They're not as pure as your crystals, but they've got character. Sometimes a bit of imperfection helps carry the song better." To everyone's surprise, it worked. The damaged core responded to the modified healing songs, its cracks slowly sealing as the earth crystals amplified and modified the frequencies in ways the Rock Shapers had never considered. By the end of that day, 3 more ships had arrived. Word was spreading faster than ever. "Did you hear what the humans did? They fixed a quantum drive with metal paste. They made earth crystals sing to heal a Rock Shaper core." The repair station's log filled with new entries. Fixed a Lightweaver's solar sail using modified fishing nets. Repaired a Voidwalker's navigation system with rewired Earth satellites. Patched a deep diver's pressure hull with a combination of alien alloys and Earth ceramics. Each repair added to their reputation. Each solution proved that humans had something special to offer the galaxy. 1 month after the Bright One's visit, Tom had to expand the station's waiting area. Ships from across the galaxy were arriving daily, each bringing new challenges that would have been considered impossible by their own species' standards. "We need more engineers," he told Kate during their daily meeting. "And more space. And probably more coffee." Kate nodded, looking over the repair schedules on her tablet. "The Rock Shapers are sending us some of their apprentices. They want to learn our methods." She grinned. "Imagine that. Advanced aliens wanting to learn from us." Through the viewport, they could see the latest arrival. A massive ship of living metal, its surface flowing like liquid mercury. Its captain had already sent a message requesting the human touch for their repairs. "You know what's funny?" Tom said, finally remembering to reheat his coffee. "A year ago, most of these species thought we were too primitive to be worth talking to. Now they're lining up to learn our primitive ways." Kate laughed. "Maybe being primitive isn't so bad. After all, primitive means we're not afraid to try new things." She picked up her toolbox. "Speaking of which, we should go see what our Mercury friends need. I've got some ideas involving Earth magnets that might blow their minds." As they walked to the docking bay, Tom couldn't help but feel proud. Humanity had found its place in the galaxy, not by being the most advanced, but by being the most adaptable. And in space, that was worth more than all the perfect solutions in the universe. The emergency alarms woke Tom at 3 a.m. station time. Red lights flashed throughout the corridors as he rushed to the control room, still pulling on his uniform jacket. "Report," he called out as he entered. Jack's face was pale as he looked up from his screens. "Sir, we have an incoming refugee fleet. 15 ships, all damaged. life support failing on most of them. He paused, swallowing hard. They're carrying over 10,000 civilians. Through the main viewport, Tom could see them approaching. A ragged collection of ships, some trailing debris, others barely moving at all. Their hulls showed signs of recent attacks. Kate burst into the control room, her work clothes stained with engine grease. I've seen the readings. Standard repair time for that many life support systems would be 72 hours, one of the alien technicians interrupted. Following proper procedures. Tom looked at the fleet again. How long do they have? 5 hours, Jack answered. Maybe 6 if they shut down all non-essential systems. The room fell silent. 10,000 lives. 6 hours. Impossible odds. Kate stepped forward, her eyes fixed on the sensor readings. We can do it in 4 hours. Everyone turned to stare at her. Impossible, the alien technician said. The procedures alone. Forget the procedures, Kate cut in. She was already drawing on the main screen, sketching out a plan. Look, these ships all use similar life support systems. We don't need to fix them one by one. We can link them together. Tom leaned forward, studying her sketch, like connecting ships to share working life support. Better, Kate said. We can create one massive temporary life support field around all the ships. Like a bubble. Use the working systems to support the failed ones until we can make proper repairs. The alien technician's face showed pure horror. That's never been done. The power requirements alone. We have 3 Bright One ships in dock right now, Tom said, catching onto Kate's plan. Their quantum drives could power it. And the Rock Shaper's crystal matrices could help stabilize the field, Kate added. We just need to break about 50 different safety protocols, Jack suggested. More like 100, Kate grinned. But who's counting? Tom looked at the approaching fleet, then at his team. Do it. The next 4 hours were controlled chaos. Kate's team worked at impossible speeds, rigging connections between ships that were never meant to connect. They used parts from the repair station, borrowed power cores from docked ships, and improvised solutions that made the alien engineers either gasp in horror or watch in fascination. 3 hours in, they had created a massive web of power conduits and life support links between the damaged ships. The Bright One's quantum drives hummed dangerously as they powered the makeshift system. Rock Shaper crystals glowed at key junction points, stabilizing the energy flow. Field is at 60% strength, Jack called out. Ships are moving into position. Kate stood at the control panel, her hands flying over the controls. Preparing to activate in 3, 2, 1. The space around the refugee fleet shimmed as the massive life support field sprang into existence. For a moment, everything hung in balance. Then the readings started to stabilize. Life support levels rising in all ships, Jack announced, relief clear in his voice. We're seeing 95% efficiency across the fleet. The alien technician stared at the readings in disbelief. You created a stable life support field that covers 15 ships, using parts that weren't meant to work together. In 4 hours. 3 hours and 47 minutes. Actually, Kate corrected, finally allowing herself to breathe. We work fast when we have to. As the refugee ships were guided to safe docking positions, Tom watched his team already preparing for the proper repairs that would follow. What they'd done today would be called impossible by most of the galaxy's engineering standards. But that was the thing about humans. Tell them something's impossible. Give them a deadline that can't be met. Put lives on the line. And suddenly, impossible becomes just another problem to solve. Get some rest, he told Kate. Tomorrow we start fixing these ships properly. She nodded, but they both knew she wouldn't rest yet. There were still people who needed help, and that's what human engineers did best. They helped, whether it was possible or not. Morning came to Orbital Repair Station 7. Though in space, morning was just another mark on the clock. The refugee fleet hung in the protective bubble of the makeshift life support field, their damaged hulls gleaming in Earth's reflected sunlight. Kate stood in the main repair bay, surrounded by engineers from 5 different alien species. They had all volunteered to help after witnessing yesterday's impossible rescue. "Here's the plan," she said, pointing to the holographic display of the damaged ships. "We've got 15 ships to fix, and now that they're stable, we can do this right." She paused, then grinned. "Well, our version of right, anyway." The repair teams split up, each taking on different tasks. Kate watched as human engineers worked alongside alien technicians, teaching them the art of creative problem-solving. In Bay 3, a young human engineer showed a group of rock shapers how to use simple earth metals to strengthen their crystal repair songs. "See, the impurities in the metal actually help carry the vibrations better," he explained. "Sometimes perfect crystals are too perfect to be useful." Next door, a Bright One engineer was learning to modify their quantum tools with what humans called mechanical sympathy, the ability to feel when machinery was working right, even if the readings said otherwise. "But the numbers indicate failure," the Bright One protested as the human engineer adjusted a power coupling by ear. "Numbers don't tell the whole story," the human replied. "Listen to the hum. Feel the vibration. Sometimes machines tell you what they need, if you're willing to listen." Tom walked through the repair bays, watching the teams work. Every ship presented different challenges, and every challenge was met with typical human ingenuity. A cracked hull, sealed with a mixture of space-grade epoxy and crystalline growth compound. A frozen engine core, thawed using modified kitchen heaters and reprogrammed cleaning drones. A shattered navigation array, rebuilt using parts from 3 different species technologies. In the main bay, Kate tackled the biggest challenge: a completely dead power core in the refugee fleet's flagship. Standard procedure said it needed to be replaced. A job that would take weeks and cost more than the ship was worth. "We're not replacing it," Kate announced, to the shock of the alien engineers. "We're going to jump-start it." "Jump, start?" a rock shaper asked, the translation making the words sound strange. Kate pulled out what looked like massive cables. Old Earth technique. Cars used to break down all the time. Instead of replacing the whole power system, we'd just give it a boost from another car. The alien engineers watched in amazement as Kate connected the dead power core to a working one from another ship, using modified cables and what looked suspiciously like parts from the station's coffee maker. "This is not possible," one of the Bright Ones stated. "The power differentials alone showed." The power core hummed to life, cutting off his protest. Energy readings climbed steadily as the ancient machinery remembered its purpose. By the end of the day, 13 of the 15 ships had working life support again. The makeshift field was still holding strong for the remaining 2, thanks to constant adjustments and what one alien engineer called human magic, though it was really just lots of duct tape and creative wiring. "I don't understand," a refugee captain said, watching his ship's systems come back online. "Our own engineers said these repairs would take months. Some damages, they said, could never be fixed." Tom smiled, remembering similar conversations over the past weeks. Humans have a different way of looking at repairs. We don't see broken things. We see puzzles waiting to be solved. Kate joined them, wiping grease from her hands. "And we're very good at puzzles, especially when we're told they're impossible to solve." As the repair teams continued their work, messages were already spreading across the galaxy. Stories about humans who could fix anything, who saw solutions where others saw only problems, who turned impossible repairs into everyday miracles. But for the engineers of Orbital Repair Station 7, it was just another day at work. After all, somewhere out there, another impossible problem was waiting to be solved, and humans would be ready with duct tape, improvised tools, and the unshakable belief that anything can be fixed if you're creative enough to find a way. The message from the Galactic Council arrived 1 month after the refugee fleet incident. Tom sat in his office, reading it for the 3rd time while Kate paced nervously. "They want us to what?" she asked again. "They want us to teach," Tom said, still hardly believing it himself. "The Council is establishing a new Galactic Engineering Academy, and they want human engineers to lead it." The holoscreen on his wall flickered to life, showing scenes from across the galaxy. Repair stations on distant worlds were already adopting human techniques. Some had even started keeping supplies of duct tape and earth metals, treating them like precious materials. "Representatives from the Council will arrive tomorrow," Tom continued. "They want to see our methods firsthand." The next day, Orbital Repair Station 7 hosted the most impressive collection of alien dignitaries ever assembled in Earth orbit. The Council members, representing 20 different species, walked through the repair bays with expressions ranging from curiosity to disbelief. "Here's where we do our hybrid repairs," Kate explained, leading them through her workshop. "We call it the mixing room because we combine different species' technologies to solve problems." She demonstrated by fixing a broken quantum stabilizer using parts from 5 different alien ships, plus what looked like an old Earth television remote. The Council members watched in fascination as the device worked better than its original design. "This breaks 17 different safety protocols," one Council member noted. "But it works," another countered. "And that is what matters." In Bay 4, they watched a team of human engineers teaching rock shapers how to incorporate earth metals into their repair songs. The resulting harmonies made the crystal engines sing with new power. "Your species," a tall, ethereal Council member addressed Tom, "has achieved in months what others haven't in centuries. You've made engineering into an art form." "Not an art form," Tom corrected politely. "More like cooking. You take different ingredients, mix them in new ways, and sometimes you create something amazing." The Council's decision was unanimous. Human engineering would become part of the standard curriculum for all spacefaring races. The term human-grade repairs would become an official certification, the highest standard of creative problem-solving. "But there's more," the Council leader announced during the official ceremony. "We are also here to learn from your recent achievement with the refugee fleet." The temporary life support field, which had saved thousands of lives, was being studied across the galaxy. Engineers from 100 worlds were trying to understand how humans had created it using mismatched parts and improvised connections. "The field should not have worked," a Bright One Council member said. "By all our calculations, it was impossible. Yet you not only made it work, but you also made it stable enough to save lives." Kate stepped forward. "With respect, that's because you calculated what should work. We focused on what could work. Sometimes the best solution isn't the perfect one. It's the one that saves lives." The ceremony ended with the Council granting Earth special status as a technical innovation center. All repair stations in the galaxy would be encouraged to have at least one human engineer on staff. As the Council members departed, Tom stood with Kate watching ships come and go from the station. Some were arriving for repairs, others leaving with their systems running better than new, all carrying stories about human ingenuity across the stars. "Did you ever think," Kate asked, "when you started this station, that we'd end up teaching the galaxy how to fix things?" Tom smiled, remembering the early days when aliens had looked down on their primitive methods. "I always knew humans had something special to offer. We don't just fix machines, we understand them. We listen to them. And sometimes we help them become better than they were designed to be." Through the viewport, they could see new ships arriving, their crews eager to learn the human way of engineering. Earth's primitive repair techniques were changing the galaxy, one impossible fix at a time. And somewhere out there, a broken ship was limping toward the nearest human repair station, carrying yet another impossible problem for human engineers to solve. 5 years after the refugee fleet incident, human repair stations dotted the galaxy like stars. Every major trade route had at least one, marked by a distinctive blue and silver beacon that ships had come to trust as a symbol of hope when things went wrong. Tom stood in his new office aboard Orbital Repair Station 7, which had grown to triple its original size. The station now served as both a repair facility and the main campus of the Galactic Engineering Academy. Another graduation day, Kate said, entering his office. She'd been promoted to head instructor, teaching the next generation of engineers, both human and alien, the art of creative problem-solving. Through the viewport, they watched as ships from 30 different species docked at the station. Some came for repairs, others to drop off new students, and many just to witness what had become known as the human miracle of engineering. "Remember when aliens thought we were too primitive to help them?" Tom asked, smiling at the memory. "Now they're copying our primitive ways," Kate laughed. "I saw a bright one using duct tape yesterday, actually using it correctly, too." The main repair bay had become a place where species from across the galaxy worked together, sharing knowledge and learning from each other. Humans taught improvisation and creative thinking, while aliens shared their advanced technologies. The combination had led to breakthroughs nobody had thought possible. A junior engineer rushed into the office, excitement clear on his face. "You need to see this," he said. "The rock shapers and the bright ones. They've done something amazing." In Bay 12, a group of alien engineers, former students who had graduated from the academy, had combined their technologies in a way that even surprised Kate. They'd created a new type of repair system that used rock shaper crystals to guide bright one quantum fields, all controlled by human-style practical engineering. "We learned this from you," one of the alien engineers explained proudly. "You taught us that different doesn't mean wrong, and that sometimes the best solutions come from mixing old and new." The station's communication system crackled. "Incoming ship," Jack announced from control. Well, you should see this yourself." A massive ship appeared on the main screen, unlike anything they'd seen before. It combined designs from at least 5 different species, held together with distinctly human-style engineering solutions. "This is trading vessel Unity," the ship's captain transmitted. "We heard this was the place to come for the best repairs in the galaxy. Our ship is unique." Tom grinned. "A ship that's already got human engineering built into it. Now that's something I never thought I'd see." The Unity represented everything their work had achieved. Different species working together, combining technologies in new ways, not afraid to try solutions just because they were unusual. As they prepared to receive the new ship, Tom walked through the station's halls. He passed classrooms where rock shapers taught crystal harmonics, while humans demonstrated emergency repairs. He saw bright ones learning to trust their instincts alongside their calculations. In every corner, the future of galactic engineering was taking shape. "You know what makes me proudest?" Kate said, joining him on his walk. "It's not that they learned our techniques. It's that they learned to think like us, to see problems as challenges to solve, not barriers to stop them." In the main hall, a wall displayed the Academy's motto, written in every known galactic language. "There are no impossible repairs, only solutions we haven't tried yet." As they watched the Unity dock, its hybrid systems humming with life, Tom thought about how far it had come. Humans had given the galaxy more than just repair techniques. They'd given hope. Hope that any problem could be solved, any damage fixed, any challenge overcome with enough creativity and determination. "Ready for another impossible repair?" Kate asked, picking up her toolbox. Tom looked at the mix of species working together in the repair bay, all wearing the blue and silver uniforms of the station, all ready to tackle whatever challenge came next. "With this team," he said proudly, "nothing's impossible anymore." And somewhere in deep space, another ship's crew was plotting a course to the nearest human repair station, knowing that whatever problems they faced, humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy, the ability to fix the impossible, would be waiting for them.